My last video on the Steam Deck was a general overview of things I liked and didn't like about the console. Since then, I've been using the deck pretty much as my only gaming platform, and boy, is this thing cool. The best part about it is it plays any game, anytime, anywhere. And I'm going to prove that. I've got 5 games, and we're going to go through those games and see how they perform on the deck. I've devised a test for the deck. There's a point system for the games. If the deck is to achieve a 10 out of 10 for the game, it must play the game at the default ultra settings at the 800p resolution at 60 FPS. A score of 5 will be, low settings, 60 FPS, 720p. Not launching the game will get a score of a 0, and a more detailed description will be in the description below. So let's do this. 5 games, a maximum possible of 50. Let's go. So before we start with Elden Ring, I forgot to mention that all the gameplay you're seeing was recorded on the Steam Deck. I figured that was better than making you guys stare at my reflection in the screen the entire video. But Elden Ring, how did we do? The great on-deck rating that this game has doesn't mean that I'm good at Elden Ring. However, I can confidently say that this game is a solid 8 out of 10 on the deck. The game is difficult to run at times, even on stronger hardware. The deck does handle it very well, though. It is able to achieve a stable 30 FPS at the maximum settings at 720p. The open world doesn't stutter, and the frame rate tends to fluctuate around 28 to 38. Never really dipping below that or soaring above that. If you drop the settings down to the high mark, you don't really get more frames per second as you do dip below 30 FPS less. Overall, the game runs very smoothly, but at the end of the day, it is a 30 FPS experience on the deck. I picked up Middle-earth: Shadow of War on Steam for about $8 and have been playing it mostly too much. I played the first game to completion and am enjoying the second game, mostly because it can be made to run extremely smoothly on the deck. At the default ultra settings, the game runs at roughly 30 FPS at 800p. I don't recommend running the game this way though. It stutters quite a bit, and this game really does need to be run at a higher frame rate. That does again, get the game a score of 8 out of 10 though. If you're playing this game, I would recommend keeping the resolution at 100% and 800p, but dropping the preset to medium to get a stable 60 FPS though. So Fallout 4 is a game I honestly played way too much and never really thought to benchmark. And then I started playing it on the Steam Deck. I've never really played the game without mods, so I'm going through it right now and trying to 100% the game vanilla with all the DLC and whatnot, so, vanilla with sprinkles. I was pleasantly surprised with how the game runs on the deck despite its playable rating, not great on deck rating. And again, that doesn't mean I'm good at the game. The game runs fine. Go through the launcher, let it do its thing, and you're off to the races. But do make sure to disable ambient occlusion though. It has some really weird visual bugs in certain areas like the glowing sea and other weather systems like your rad storms and whatnot. I think it's something to do with the color green, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, other than that, the game ran great. It gets an 8 out of 10. It runs well, but again, you're going to have to drop the settings to high or medium to get a solid 60 FPS at native res. I run the game at the default high preset with ambient occlusion off at the native 800p res, and I get, between 40 and 50 FPS 90% of the time, and it runs great. Satisfactory is another game in my library that I bought it, binged it, loved it, played it for like 30 hours, and then never touched it again. I played it a lot during the Update 5 time frame. Right now they're on Update 6, so I think that was, a year or two ago. And I've been meaning to get back into it to see what the new things they've put into the game are. But with Elden Ring on my roster to replay, it's going to be a minute. So how does the game run on deck though? It has a playable rating and uses the trackpad, so I'm not really used to that, and that's surprisingly been easy to get the hang of. However, anyway, 9 out of 10. This game runs extremely well on deck. 45-ish FPS average at the default ultra settings at 800p. Drop the settings down to high, you get a rock solid 60 FPS 24/7. But as your world gets more advanced, you're going to be leveraging more and more of that CPU. So I think as you progress more in the game, you'll probably drop the settings more. If Todd would quit releasing Skyrim, I wouldn't have to do this. Since the game is run on a literal toaster and all, I was expecting to get a solid 10 out of 10. This is the special edition though, so it needs to be run on special hardware. It does look a lot better than the legendary edition of the game, so I give it an 8 out of 10. The default ultra settings give it a pretty stable 30 FPS outdoors. I didn't notice any performance issues being stutters and whatnot. After all, it is a fairly well optimized game. People, like when I say this, I mean this. People have literally made this run on a Samsung smart fridge. So it's well optimized. It's up to you though if you want a stable 60 FPS or not. Dropping the settings a little bit to the high preset does yield a stable 60 FPS, proving that this game can in fact run anywhere. So as long as you can get a Steam Deck there, that is. But if you look at the utilization during this indoor segment, you'll see that, we were pretty close to actually getting that ultra or that 10 out of 10 rating. And we didn't, just because of the outdoor segments. When you go outdoors, the frame rate does dip quite a bit. But anyway, I think it's safe to say that the Steam Deck is a fairly competent gaming machine. And this series will prove that. Yes, this is going to be a series thing. I'm going to go through my whole Steam library and all that. Today, though, the deck scored 42 out of 50 possible points. That's more than a lot of gaming rigs will do in this benchmark a lot of the time. That's going by numbers, that is. So let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more of this specific series. I think it's a great idea. I think a lot of people like the deck, but I don't want to be a deck-focused channel. So if we do more of this series, it won't be only this. It's going to come probably every other week or so. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.